Okay, hi everyone. So I know I said that this week I wasn't gonna put up a video, but I have a very special announcement. Actually, two. I know I went and said that I wasn't gonna put a video out for this week. I truthfully was very low energy. We've just been going, especially with a recent trip that we went on. And I just didn't have the motivation to even pull out my camera because I was so tired. And it's not that I didn't have ideas for filming. I definitely did. I just was so tired. But with that being said, there's some really exciting things that I found out about this week, and we gotta talk about them. So first off, the first one we're gonna talk about is I was accepted into the team Petal Pages. Now, you will have seen in a past video that I did where I showed that I am working on a bingo that is currently going on in their channel. I will go and share that video up here and also include the information down below. But their bingo basically finishes at the end of this month, and I am so close to basically getting a lot of bingos for my bingo sheet. I'm working on trying to get a blackout. I don't know if that will happen, but I am trying my hardest. But anyway, you can obviously tell I'm very excited. I got accepted into their stream team, and for those of you that aren't aware, I used to go and stream video games on Twitch. I really did enjoy it, but at the end of the day, I discovered that it was really hard for me to always be on, especially after a really difficult work day. So I kind of pulled away from it. I still do go and watch a lot of streams on Twitch. I have a lot of lovely friends that I've made through there, but I just kind of pulled away, and I started realizing that I enjoyed doing YouTube a lot more and talking about books on there. But there wasn't really a team that I could go and join that I could go and talk about that stuff with, because most of them were all video game based. And so when I saw that Petal Pages had opened up to allow people that were on YouTube to join their team, I went and applied and I got in. So I'm so excited about that. There's a lot of lovely people there. Some of them I've kind of known just through their names, and others I have never heard of before. So it's so exciting to have this space where I can be a part of to talk about books and other things aside from video games that we all enjoy. So I'm very excited to be a part of that. Now, on to the next one. I found out that there is a romance Phantom of the Opera readathon, and that will be starting in September. Now, I know you're probably thinking, Rochelle, you do not like romance, you like horror, you like thrillers, you like apocalypse type of stuff. Like, romance is not at the top of your list to look for. And you are correct. However, I'm a musical nerd. So these are kind of all my playbills that I've been collecting over the years. So I got Wicked. We went and saw that recently. Moulin Rouge. We have to go and see that again because, oh, it's one of our favorites now. Book of Mormon, Lion King, obviously Phantom of the Opera. We're just gonna go through all of these because I need you to understand how much of a musical theater nerd I am. And then Anastasia, honestly, it was good, but I prefer the really whimsical movie that we all grew up with. This one was more of a historical one, and it was great, but just at the same time, I would have preferred more of the magical aspect. Book of Mormon again. And then Sweetie Todd. So if that doesn't show you anything, I'm a huge musical theater nerd. I grew up doing theater in high school, so theater is definitely something that I've loved so much. Whenever I had a really stressful day, I would listen to the Phantom of the Opera soundtrack. My parents would come home from work and they'd see me just singing along with it. There were even times, and I'm gonna call myself out on how much of a nerd I am, I would jump on the couch singing some of the Phantom's parts. So huge place in my heart for Phantom of the Opera. I love it so much. My mom also took me to see Phantom of the Opera when I was 16 in Vegas because they were having their last show there. Not the best place to take a 16-year-old, but the fact that she took me to see Phantom of the Opera there, I will forever remember that. So thank you, Mom, if you're watching this. But yeah, I'm not a huge romance girl. It's not something that I go out of my way to read. Now, if there's a book that I'm really enjoying and it has some romance in it, that's fine. I honestly just am in the phase where I'm just not really interested in romance, especially if it's extra smutty, extra spicy, if it's open door, that stuff's not my cup of tea. However, this is a romance Phantom of the Opera readathon. So This is being hosted by Maggie, and I'll go and include her information down below. She does have a video where she describes everything that happens during the readathon, the rules, there's a Discord channel, all that stuff. I happened to find out about it just when I was going through some other people's channels. I believe it was Miss Pizza Reads that I first learned about it, and I was like, okay, we gotta take a look at this. We have to know what is going on. So I went and looked at it, and obviously I had to join. Like, Phantom of the Opera is just something that I love so much. This is the second year that they're doing this, and I will be on Team Stagehand. So basically the whole concept of it is to win Christine's affection, and there are a few different teams. I'll try to see if I can remember them all. There's the opera singers, the opera owners, opera house owners, I think that's the name, and then there's ballerinas, Raoul, of course, bleh. And then there's the stagehand. I think that's all of them. And the Phantom in this, he's kind of the villain. I know, like, he's kind of the villain in the story anyway, but you know, we all love the Phantom, those of you that have watched the Phantom of the Opera, whether it's the movie or the musical. But anyway, the Phantom is basically the villain in this. He's kind of out to get you and like ruin your chances of winning Christine's affection. And so he'll go and send these different notes, different challenges, all that type of stuff. And when I was looking through the teams that I wanted to join, I believe I was between the opera singers and the stagehands. And I decided to go with the stagehands because, so some of the ones that they have are morally gray and opposites attract. And to be honest, those are probably two of my favorite romance tropes if I had to pick. I'm not so much the billionaire type of thing or the huge age gap. Like, that stuff's not really my jam, but I do love morally gray characters. Now, that's not to say, like, you know, controlling or, let's say, like 50 Shades of Grey, because I can't really think fully, but that's not to say that those types of things. But I was like, okay, if I had to pick one, I feel like the stagehand would be the easiest for me to do. Looking at a lot of the books that I own, there's a lot of morally gray characters, or at least opposites attract, and then I can't remember which team it is. They have enemies to lovers, so that's kind of another one of my favorites as well. But yeah, so we will be on Team Stagehand, and we will be trying to win Christine's affection, and I'm very, very excited for this. Now, with the stagehand in the musical and in the movies, he's not exactly one of my favorites, but in the movie, he's played by the same guy that plays Gibbs in Pirates of the Caribbean, so I loved that movie as well. So I'm just kind of thinking like, okay, this is a guy that I really like, so we're just gonna cheer for him. Now, some of the other things, like, I'm not gonna obviously go through everything because Maggie does describe it in her video, which I will share down in the description below, but I'll just go through a few of the things because, to be honest, I might need a little bit of help getting recommendations from you all. So let me go through the list, and I'll put a picture of it so you can look along with me. All right, so I got the information down on my phone. So here are some of the ways that you can earn points. Book points, 1 point for every page read. So if it's a 275 page book, you get 275 points. And then if it's a gothic atmosphere for the book, and I believe Maggie said you can kind of find this out on like Goodreads or any of those types of story things where it will say some of the themes on that. So you can look for it there, or of course when you're reading the back of the book, it will say kind of what kind of atmosphere it has. So 25 points for that. If it's a romance book, you get 25 points. And then Phantom of the Opera, retelling or reimagining, you get 50 points for those. And it does have to go and say that in the information. And then if you read any team's trope, that's plus 50 points. And then if you read your team's tropes, that's plus 100. So obviously I would like to go the way that gets more points. So that is why I went with a stagehand, just because a lot of the books that I enjoy, if they are romance, are usually with those types of tropes. So I felt like that would probably be the easiest option for me. Now, some of the books that I have picked out, obviously, would be some Phantom of the Opera books. I actually don't know if I've mentioned it before. I've never actually read the Phantom of the Opera, the original one, but I have been just collecting the Phantom of the Opera stories as well as retellings, and this is my collection that I have currently so far. This would be a great chance to potentially go and read some of the Phantom of the Opera books I have because they give you so many points, and I can't remember if the actual one gives you more I'll have to look back on things. My brain is very spacey. But yeah, so there's a chance that I could read one of the original ones. I might read this one because I feel like it will just be easier to hold versus this one that's a little bit tinier, and I feel like it'll probably crack the spine. But yeah, so I have that. So this is the original one, The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux, and this is actually a translated version because the original is in a different language that obviously I can't read. And then there's Phantom by Greer Rivers. I believe this one is definitely a lot spicier. I found out about it through TikTok, and this one is confirmed where the Phantom gets the girl, so yes. But yeah, so this one is a little bit spicier. I'm not sure if I'll really be in the mood to consume that type of stuff, so we will see, but this is definitely an option. And then I have Music of the Night by Angela J. Ford. I do really love this copy and this version of it because, of course, it's like interracial dating type of thing, and the cover is beautiful. It's not too thick of a read either, so this is an option as well. And then I also did already read The Musician and the Monster by Megan Van Dyke. I did get this one a few months back as an ARC, so I don't think I will be rereading it, but just to list this as an option if you are also considering being a part of this whole readathon. And then I also have Phantom Heart by Kelly Creek. I think that's how you say it, but this one is a very chunky boy, but this is another option as well. And those are a few of the ones that I have so far. I also do have a book haul that I plan on doing soon, probably before September when this readathon happens. I'm just waiting for a few more books before I can film that. But I do have a few other Phantom retellings in my book haul that I plan on shooting, so there might be a few in there as well. But yeah, so here's another option, and that kind of finishes the copies that I do have for physical versions of the Phantom of the Opera retellings that I have. And then some of the other books that I'm kind of contemplating that I figure would possibly fit this whole theme would be The Poison Princess from the Arcana Chronicles by Cressley Cole. This is one of my all-time favorite book series, and I think I've mentioned it in the past where I haven't exactly finished the book series and I really want to. So one of the things that I've kind of been thinking as a series that I want to add to my channel is rereading some of my favorite books and sharing my thoughts about them now, and then also reading viral books and sharing my thoughts on them. So this would probably be one of the first ones. I've already read this book this year, so I'd probably start out with either the second or third, depending on which one I use for my bingo. But this one would probably count for the morally gray opposites attract, because the main character, she is a cheerleader, kind of very popular, all of those things, and then the guy that's the love interest, he is kind of on the poor side of the tracks, on the bayou, everything like that. They're just from two different types of cliques per se, and when the apocalypse type of setting called the Flash happens, they're stuck together. So that would definitely count for one of my tropes, which is really amazing. It probably would also count for the enemies to lovers as well, but yeah. So this is an option. And then I also have Lost from After the Plague Book 2 by Imogen Keeper. I've had this on my TBR a few months back. It's a pretty quick series. Most of the books are around this thick. I think one of the ones towards the end of the series is a little bit thicker. But yeah, so this could definitely be an option. I know there is romance in it, and it's also apocalyptic, so I still get to read some of the themes that I really enjoy, while also reading romance to fulfill some of the things that I need to do to get points. So there's this series as well. So I don't know too much about the Shatter Me series. I've never read it before, so if you do know stuff about this series, please let me know in the comments below if you believe this would count for my team and getting me points. But I was thinking of possibly starting the Shatter Me series and saving it for this competition instead of reading it for the month of August like I originally planned. And with this, I plan on doing my series of reading viral books and sharing my thoughts. So if I can include this in that and also cross off one of the book series that I'd like to film on my channel, that would be really amazing. So please let me know if you think this would count for the stagehand tropes. So the next one I'm a little bit back and forth on. I've kind of had this little issue with reading books that are just raved about, really popular, and it's only to say that I just am like, I don't know if I want to read a book that everyone else is talking about, just because there's a lot of indie authors out there that have amazing books. But one of my friends is currently reading this series, and she's been wanting to talk about it with me so badly, and I really do love it talking about books with people. So with that being said, I might be adding this one on to my TBR for the Phantom Romance Readathon. It is the third book in the ACOTAR series, so it's A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I have started this book in the past. I got about that far in it, and then I kind of stopped, but I'm thinking this would be a great opportunity to go and read this book, maybe finish the series as well. So that is also an option. I think this might count for Morally Gray, potentially. So like I said, I'll need your help in the comments below. Like, if any of these books you feel like fit this, or if you have better recommendations for me, please let me know. I'm very competitive and I want to win, and this is probably the first readathon that I've done where it's like this, and I'm actually not going on vacation, so I can fully commit to reading without going on a trip somewhere and making it more difficult to read. I have a few other ones. So A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This one, I know my really good friend Once Upon a Bookish Steph has talked about how much she loved this book, and I've had it on my shelf for a while, and I've just kind of waited for the time to read it, kind of figuring like I'd read it more in the autumn time of the year. And this one is gothic, so I feel like this would definitely work. It's not too thick of a read either, so this is definitely an option as well. Like I said, I want to read books that will give me points for the Phantom of the Opera readathon. And then last one that I kind of picked out just because it is a romance is Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. I got this one when I was in Tennessee, and this has been another book that I've had an idea for a video, such as the reading viral books and sharing my thoughts. I also really do enjoy tropes that are set in a small town. That's like one of my guilty pleasures just because it reminds me of home. So this is another one that I'm kind of considering reading, and I believe it will still get me points even if it's, you know, the other team's trope. So, you know, all points add up. But yeah, so those are some of the books that I have picked out for the Phantom of the Opera readathon. If you can also give me recommendations too, I would love that so much, because romance isn't really my thing, but I love Phantom of the Opera. It's one of my all-time favorite stories. I'm a little bit obsessed with it. So if you ever want to watch the movie or talk about the movie, you know, hit me up. I'd love to be there and nerd out over it with you. But yeah, so those are some of the books I have picked out, and the exciting news that I just could not wait to tell you about. And if you can't tell, I am currently standing, and I also have Nugget laying on my feet right now because the excitement is very much here. But yeah, that's what I have, and if you really want to participate as well, please go and look at the information down below for Maggie's channel, as well as any of the other information you need to know about it. It will be in that video that I will link below. But yeah, I'm very excited to start this. It starts on September, and there's a few other ways that you can go and earn points before the challenge actually happens, which is really cool. So yeah, I can't wait to be a part of it, and if you want to as well, please join, because it just sounds so cool. There's so many details that are planned out, and it just sounds like so much fun. And you don't necessarily have to read romance. It seems like, you know, all these other types of books will count, because like I said, depending on the amount of pages in your book, that works too for points. So you don't necessarily have to read romance. I'm just very competitive, and I want to try to get my team as many points as I can. I'm probably going to stop here because I am sweating so much, and I'm very excited, if you can't tell already. So I love you all. Please let me know which books you think I should read, if you think that they would count from the ones I listed, or if you have better recommendations. And with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up here. And don't forget, you're worthy and capable of amazing things. I love you all. Bye. Just so you can see, here is Nugget just laying on my feet while I was filming. Nuggie, wanna say hi? Wanna say hi? Yeah, you're a good girl.